乔布斯，一个伟大的天才，离我们而去已经11年。最开始接触到乔布斯是从那句活着就为改变世界开始。我很好奇，那个年代什么样的人才能说出这样气吞万里的豪言壮语。
I think that's very important. And however you learn that, once you learn it, you'll want to change life and make it better because it's kind of messed up in a lot of ways. Once you learn that, you'll never be the same again.
乔布斯有太多的光环和头衔，他被公认为计算机业界与娱乐业界的标志性人物，全世界最伟大的创新领袖之一，伟大产品的缔造者，当代最有影响力的科技界领导人等等等等。他才华横溢，综合于产品、设计、硬件、运营等多个领域，集合他认为的最优秀的人才，打造出 Mac、iPod、iPhone 这些划时代的产品。他的眼里永远充满了光，充满了为用户带来新产品、带来极致体验的自豪感。
That's right. Isn't this a wonderful place we live?
当他介绍蓝盒子可能是当时最好的数字化设备的时候，我们能从内心深处感受到他的喜悦。
So we built these little boxes to do blue boxing, as it was called, and we put a little note in the bottom of them. Our logo was he's got the whole world in his hands. And they worked. We built the best blue box in the world. It was all digital, no adjustments. And what's so interesting is that we were young, and what we learned was that we could build something ourselves that could control billions of dollars worth of infrastructure in the world. That was what we learned, was that us two, we didn't know much, we could build a little thing that could control a giant thing. And that was an incredible lesson. I don't think there would have ever been an Apple computer had there not been Blue Box.
为了热爱，投入一切，这是我们当代人非常难以想象的事情。房子、车子、票子、教育、医疗这些大山牢牢地套住了年轻人的想象力与创造力。我们无法全身心投入自己热爱的事业，更多的人终其一生都没有找到自己所热爱的东西。一切的一切都有那么高的成本。Steve 的年代出领导者，当下出螺丝钉。不知道这是不是社会发展的必然阶段，但总觉得有一丝丝悲哀。乔布斯对美的极度热爱与追求有着令人难以置信的偏执，正因为如此，苹果的产品都具有与生俱来的优雅，这种优雅经典耐看，历经时光洗礼却从不褪色。这是一个来自于1984年的微笑，这是一个来自于2022年的微笑。没错，1984年的设计直到现在仍然漂亮。不论是苹果的衬线字体、产品设计、人机交互设计，在美学方面总是追求极致，这一切都是因为热爱。终其一生，乔布斯一直在学习创新的路上，犹如一个苦行僧，孤独地前行。
On the back cover of their final issue was a photograph of an early morning country road, the kind you might find yourself hitchhiking on if you were so adventurous. Beneath it were the words, "Stay hungry, stay foolish." It was their farewell message as they signed off. Stay hungry, stay foolish. And I have always wished that for myself. And now, as you graduate to begin anew, I wish that for you. Stay hungry, stay foolish.
他告诉我们
You've got to find what you love.
人生必须有一个明确的目标，最好在你年轻的时候你就知道这一生要做什么。
I was lucky. I found what I love to do early in life.
乔布斯从小就非常迷恋电子一类稀奇古怪的东西。10岁时，他开始接触计算机。
A time-sharing terminal. So I didn't actually see the computer, but I saw a time-sharing terminal. And in those days, again, it's hard to remember how primitive it was. There was no such thing as a computer with a graphics video display. It was literally a printer. It was a teletype printer with a keyboard on it. So you would keyboard these commands in, and then you would wait for a while, and then the thing would go and it would tell you something out. But even with that, it was still remarkable, especially for a 10-year-old, that you could write a program in BASIC, let's say, or Fortran, and actually this machine would sort of take your idea and it would sort of execute your idea and give you back some results. And if they were the results that you predicted, your program really worked. It was an incredibly thrilling experience. So I became very captivated by a computer.
他有一种深深的预感，就是这个东西将来会走进各个公司，走进千家万户，为人们的办公和生活带来巨大的便利。于是他倾尽所有，寻找合伙人，创立苹果公司，全力去做电脑等一系列的产品。事实证明，乔布斯的眼光是正确的。如今，电脑和手机已经走进千家万户，彻底改变了人们的工作生活方式。乔布斯退学之后，一个偶然的机会，他在里德大学学习了全美最好的美术字课程。
It was beautiful, historical, artistically subtle in a way that science can't capture, and I found it fascinating. None of this had even a hope of any practical application in my life. But 10 years later, when we were designing the first Macintosh computer, it all came back to me. And we designed it all into the Mac. It was the first computer with beautiful typography. If I had never dropped in on that single course in college, the Mac would have never had multiple typefaces or proportionally spaced fonts.
乔布斯的成功得益于发现了许多才华横溢、不甘平庸的人才。
I've built a lot of my success off finding these truly gifted people and not settling for B and C players, but really going for the A players. And I found something. I found that when you get enough A players together, when you go through the incredible work to find, 5 of these A players, they really like working with each other because they've never had a chance to do that before. And they don't want to work with B and C players, and so it becomes self-policing, and they only want to hire more A players. And so you build up these pockets of A players, and it propagates. And that's what the Mac team was like. They were all A players. And these were extraordinarily talented people.
You've got a lot of extraordinarily talented people, and the beehive effect says that it's a lot more efficient to have that talent and all those companies together. And let me give you an example.
The same common stones that had gone in through rubbing against each other like this, creating a little bit of friction, creating a little bit of noise, had come out these beautiful polished rocks. And that's always been in my mind my metaphor for a team working really hard on something they're passionate about is that it's through the team, through that group of incredibly talented people bumping up against each other, having arguments, having fights sometimes, making some noise, and working together, they polish each other. And they polish the ideas, and what comes out are these really beautiful stones.
乔布斯在创造产品的时候非常注重用户体验和细节，他对每一个产品的细节都仔细推敲，追求极致。他为产品注入了灵魂和魅力，让其以最完美的状态呈现在用户面前。
So, the fact that Apple controls the product design from end to end, hardware, software, gives Apple an incredibly unique opportunity.
活着就要追求极致，正是这种对细节的极致追求，成就了乔布斯和他的苹果公司，也是全球万千用户疯狂喜欢苹果产品的原因之一。细节如魔鬼，总是藏在你意想不到的地方，决定你的成败。乔布斯最伤心的往事之一，莫过于自己被亲手所创的苹果公司扫地出门。那一段时间可以说是他人生最黑暗的一段时光。但执着于梦想的乔布斯并没有因此气馁。
Even if we crash and burn and lose everything, the experience will have been worth 10 times the cost. So what did we have to lose? There was no risk. And even some spectacular failures. Some of the failures are, as widely discussed as the successes. And even the failures, people are admired for trying. And I think they pick themselves up, dust themselves off, and go get a job. Maybe they don't own the company, maybe they're not a founder of the next company, but they've got a really good job, and there's no real chance that they'll end up destitute.
And my point of view on this, or my observation, is that the doers are the major thinkers. The people that really create the things that change this industry are both the thinker-doer in one person.
And if we really go back and we examine, did Leonardo have a guy off to the side that was thinking 5 years out in the future what he would paint or the technology he would use to paint it? Of course not. Leonardo was the artist, but he also mixed all his own paints. He also was a fairly good chemist, knew about pigments, knew about human anatomy, and combining all of those skills together, the art and the science, the thinking and the doing, was what resulted in the exceptional result. And there is no difference in our industry. The people that have really made the contributions have been the thinkers and the doers. And when you a lot of people, of course, it's very easy to take credit for the thinking. The doing is more concrete, but it's very easy for somebody to say, oh, I thought of this 3 years ago. But usually when you dig a little deeper, you find that the people that really did it were also the people that really worked through the hard intellectual problems as well.
在乔布斯看来，有一个永远质疑现状的机会是很重要的。
In business, I found something, which was I'd always ask why you do things. And the answers you invariably get are, oh, that's just the way it's done. Nobody knows why they do what they do. Nobody thinks about things very deeply in business. That's what I found. I'll give you an example. When we were building our Apple I's in the garage, we knew exactly what they cost. When we got into a factory in the Apple II days, the accounting had this notion of a standard cost, where you'd kind of set a standard cost and then at the end of a quarter you'd adjust it with a variance. And I kept asking, well, why do we do this? And the answer was, well, that's just the way it's done. And after about 6 months of digging into this, what I realized was the reason you do it is because you don't really have good enough controls to know how much it costs, so you guess, and then you fix your guess at the end of the quarter. And the reason you don't know how much it costs is because your information systems aren't good enough. So, but nobody said it that way. And so later on, when we designed this automated factory for Macintosh, we were able to get rid of a lot of these antiquated concepts and know exactly what something cost to the second.
That the world is the way it is, and your life is just to live your life inside the world. Try not to bash into the walls too much. Try to have a nice family life. Have fun. Save a little money. But life, that's a very limited life. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact, and that is everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. And you can change it. You can influence it. You can build your own things that other people can use. And the minute that you understand that you can poke life and actually something will, if you push in, something will pop out the other side, that you can change it, you can mold it. That's maybe the most important thing, is to shake off this erroneous notion that life is there and you're just going to live in it, versus embrace it, change it, improve it, make your mark upon it. I think that's very important. And however you learn that, once you learn it, you'll want to change life and make it better. The only thing you really have in your life is time. And if you invest that time in yourself to have great experiences that are going to enrich you, then you can't possibly lose. So I always advise people, don't wait. Do something when you're young, when you have nothing to lose, and keep that in mind. And I think that's the best way.
When I was 17, I read a quote that went something like, if you live each day as if it was your last, someday you'll most certainly be right. It made an impression on me. And since then, for the past 33 years, I've looked in the mirror every morning and asked myself, if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I am about to do today? And whenever the answer has been no for too many days in a row, I know I need to change something. Remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life. Because almost everything, all external expectations, all pride, all fear of embarrassment or failure, these things just fall away in the face of death, leaving only what is truly important. Remembering that you are going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. You are already naked. There is no reason not to follow your heart. No one wants to die. Even people who want to go to heaven don't want to die to get there. And yet, death is the destination we all share. No one has ever escaped it. And that is as it should be, because death is very likely the single best invention of life. It's life's change agent. It clears out the old to make way for the new. Right now, the new is you. But someday, not too long from now, you will gradually become the old and be cleared away. Sorry to be so dramatic, but it's quite true. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary.
说了这么多，我们来听一下乔布斯临终前最后的几句话，看这位天才如何在这短短几分钟内说出如此警醒世人的话语。
I reached the pinnacle of success in the business world. In others' eyes, my life was an epitome of success. However, aside from work, I have little joy. In the end, wealth is only a fact of life that I'm accustomed to. At this moment, lying on the sickbed and recalling my whole life, I realized that all the recognition and wealth I took so much pride in have paled and become meaningless in the face of impending death. In darkness, I look at the green lights from the life-supporting machines and hear the humming mechanical sounds. I can feel the breath of God of Death drawing closer. Now I know, when we have accumulated sufficient wealth to last our lifetime, we should pursue other matters that are unrelated to wealth. It should be something that's more important. Perhaps relationships. Perhaps art. Perhaps a dream from younger days. Non-stop pursuing of wealth will only turn a person into a twisted being, just like me. God gave us the senses to let us feel the love in everyone's heart, not the illusions brought out by wealth. The wealth that I have won in my life, I cannot bring with me. What I can bring is only the memories precipitated by love. That's the true riches which will follow you, accompany you, giving you strength and light to go on. Love can travel 1,000 miles. Life has no limit. Go where you want to go. Reach the height you want to reach. It's all in your heart and in your hands. What's the most expensive bed in the world? A sick bed. You can employ someone to drive the car for you, make money for you, but you can't have someone bear the sickness for you. Material things lost can be found, but there is one thing that can never be found when it's lost. Life. When a person goes into the operating room, he will realize that there is one book that he has yet to finish reading. The book of healthy life. Whichever stage in life you're at right now, with time, we will face the day when the curtain comes down. Treasure love for your family, love for your spouse, love for your friends. Treat yourself well, and cherish others.